Time for another episode of the Joshcast. These Joshcasts lately have been more reflective. Is this me trying to do a Mark Maron impersonation? Perhaps! Oh, there's some people on a morning walk. They're on a morning walk, I can tell. Taking a nice walk through the neighborhood. Morning walk. They look like normal homeowners going on a morning walk. What are they saying to each other? This new coffee flavor is divine, don't you think? Yes, I do think. Notice how we're all living lives of quiet desperation? Yes! Ah-ha-ha-ha-ha! Now what I'm doing there is I'm instead of dealing with my own problems, I'm trying to make fun of other people's problems, and that never works. I think it's time for me to admit that it only seems to go well comedically for me when I'm making fun of myself, or, to a lesser degree, oatmeal raisin cookies. Those are the only two victim choices that I can successfully execute as a comedian. Make fun of myself, or desserts that are lesser than. So I'm working on this bit right now, because this is something that's true. I have a bit of the obsessive compulsive disorder, a touch of the OCD, but not. I was diagnosed with mild obsessive compulsive disorder. So I don't even know if disorder is the right word for this. It's, a touch, a smattering of the obsessive compulsive. Because the word disorder implies, because there are people who are severely affected with this, who cannot function. And I am not one of those people. It's not severe for me. So disorder doesn't even feel like the right word. It feels like like an obsessive compulsive rash, or an obsessive compulsive, moment. I don't know. There's a better word that describes what I actually have. Because, mild is, that's right. It is mild. And I'm not a fan of the disorder part of it. The fact that I'm obsessing over what is the correct word should tell you perhaps this obsessive compulsive disorder is not so mild. Excuse me, sneezing. Excuse me, need to dust my apartment. Yes, so obsessive compulsive disorder. I'm not happy with the word disorder. I can't move forward until I come up with a word that fits disorder better, or that's more accurate than disorder. Disturbance, that's closer. Hiccup, obsessive compulsive hiccup, maybe it's not medical enough though. It's not official enough. The hiccup, that's obsessive compulsive issue. That could work. There's something that's but I feel like sometimes when somebody says issue, like when they're having a health issue, it feels like it's purposefully vague to try to downplay the severity. Just a minor issue. You have a spear sticking out of your neck. Minor issue. It's an issue. It's a thing. It happened. Maybe I should, and it's also not enough of a, my OCD. Again, it's not enough to be a bad thing. In some ways, sometimes it can kind of be a good thing. So, maybe it's, maybe I need to come up with a positive way of calling, obsessive compulsive talent. Oh, I like that. OCT. I'm obsessive compulsively talented. I'm good at lining things up. It's a skill. Put it on a job resume. Mild OCD. I'll stay 5 minutes late to double check the numbers. But what obsessive compulsive disorder is that people have obsessive thoughts, and to deal with the thoughts, and I think to deal with the emotion and the stress and the fear under those thoughts, they create a bunch of rituals or actions that they have to perform in order to quell the thoughts. So, the simplest example is, somebody checking to make sure the stove is turned off 19 times. Do they need to check it more than once? No, but the continuous fear of, is the stove on, is fueling them to check it 19 times. Although, when I say that, it could be that there's an underlying fear that is manifesting as the fear of turning off the stove. That overall, it's fear in general, and this is how people deal with it, is by creating these rituals. So I've created a ritual. I'm trying to talk about this on stage, and it's difficult because it's such a weird ritual that it's hard to articulate it. But basically, I'm terrified that I'm going to get a brain tumor. So I go through this ritual where I use imaginary force fields to scoop out, hopefully, imaginary brain tumors, and then proceed to transport them with my mind powers to the South Pole and blow them up down in the South Pole. But then, the energy from that explosion travels back through the force field, all the way back to my head, blows it up, blows up my neck, blows up my body, blows up everything, but leaves my shoes. And I have to go through this thought process to feel better. And it makes no sense because at the end of this ritual, I'm apparently dead. My shoes are okay, though. So it doesn't seem like a productive ritual to pray for my body to explode. Nevertheless, at the end of it, I feel better. And what I find is that when I explain this on stage, first of all, it takes a minute. Second of all, people look at me like I am crazy, which perhaps I am. And then, neither of us, neither me nor the audience, really knows what to say after that. Now, it's my job, of course, to come up with something to say after that. But there is this moment of, wow, we don't know what to make of that. Which I'm learning is becoming my favorite moment on stage. When the audience goes, we don't know what you want us to do here. And I can say, yeah, I don't know either. There's a part of me that thinks that this actually works. I know that's irrational. I'm aware of it. But there's a part of me that thinks maybe in the realm of quantum physics or the realm of, how thought is related to reality, maybe if I do this enough, it will actually keep me safe. And then I figure, well, it's better than to do it than not to do it. Just to be on the safe side. Meanwhile, while I'm doing this ritual, I'm not currently doing this, but I was, pounding down 10 tons of sugar a day, which has been medically proven to kill you over time. Obsessive compulsive twist. I kind of like that because it's like a twist of lemon, a twist of OCD. Obsessive compulsive dollop. And a dollop implies that there's two. A dollop is a lot. Obsessive, a touch of the obsessive compulsive. That's closer. A touch of the obsessive compulsive. A taste of the obsessive compulsive. Just the tip of the obsessive compulsive. If we want to get sexual. Yeah, it's going to be bothering me all morning. So, I go through this ritual, I feel better for a minute, then I have to go through the ritual again. I've also noticed that I seem to really want to do the ritual whenever I'm watching a movie or TV. So there's something to do with watching a screen. And I think it's going to sound weird when I say this, but I think it's whenever I'm sitting down and watching something that is fun to watch. It's almost like anytime I try to allow joy to flow into my life, the OCD kicks in and goes, don't forget that you're going to die. What do you think you're doing? Sitting there living life to the fullest. Who do you think you are? All right, here's a question. Do I wish that I didn't do that at all? Do I wish that I didn't have this? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah. I actually have to sit and think about that one. I guess, the way I see it, I don't know. I figure that, for every negative thing about me, that somehow it's connected to something positive, and that there's always two sides to every coin. So I wonder if I didn't have the obsessive compulsive, would that affect, for instance, I don't know, attention to detail, which, if you look at how I'm dressed, I clearly don't have any attention to detail to that. Or is it that I identify, it's who I am, it's become a part of who I am, so if I let it go, then am I freaking out over, well, then who am I? All of this feels very OCD, this entire thought process, by the way. I'm beginning to think it's just who I am. I think it'd be nice to not have it, to be able to sit down and watch a movie, or do something fun without worrying about the bad thing that's going to happen, because one way or another, bad things are going to happen. It's a lack of control. I just have no control over it. Hopefully I won't get sick, but, sooner or later, death is going to come. Unless we figure out the singularity and I transfer my consciousness into an iPhone. It could happen. Totes. It could totes happen. Now we're talking about death. This is a good place for this podcast to be. Talking about death. Everyone's favorite subject. yeah, I mean, it must be nice to, just not think at all. It's how most people seem to be, or not have these obsessive thoughts. It must be a nice moment, I would think. But, I learned to live with it. There was a time where I was able to stop the obsessive compulsive thoughts. I worked my way out of it. I remember that. It was, I think, late high school. There was a period where I was able to kind of get out of it, but then I let myself get back into it because it's in a weird way, it is a drug, because there's a moment of that relief. I did it. I did it. I accomplished something. My force fields worked. All is safe. So it's delusion. It's a moment of delusion. I'm addicted to tiny moments of delusion. Other people use substances. I turn my imaginary world into Star Wars. But it's that relief. So it is a drug in a way. It is an addiction. So is it an addiction that I should give up? For a long time I was like, I'm not going to give this up. It's the one thing I do that makes me feel better. It is actually, I got to say, in the moment that I detonate that energy field over Antarctica, man, I'm on cloud 9. That for me, that's the bee's knees. That moment. Pure pleasure. Pure shot of heroin. Josh heroin, that's what that is.